guess I'm not sure how to open this other than there's real no breaking news from any of the crashes, in particular the fatal crashes or anything like that. But more than anything, I just wanted to give the opportunity to open this up to anybody that might have had some questions. Again, the crash remains under investigation at this point, so there's some things that we just can't comment on. We don't know. That's going to take time to figure out. However, I'd be glad to answer those questions that I can, and more than anything, use this opportunity to maybe highlight just the importance of winter traveling, things like that. Again, overall this winter, we've been pretty fortunate as far as smooth roads, dry, conditions, things like that. However, all it takes is a day like yesterday and even continuing into today to realize that there's still a lot of winter left and we need to slow down and drive accordingly. Again, most of these crashes are generally preventable. It usually comes down to four types of things. Usually speed too fast for conditions, not paying attention, not wearing your seatbelts, and drinking and driving. I'm not saying that's an issue in some of these crashes here, but a lot of times these things can be avoided if we just slow down. As our highways do have posted speed limits and things like that there, that doesn't mean you need to be driving that speed in particular on that day. State law says that you need to slow down and drive accordingly for those conditions. So on a day like today, Minnesota, the freeway says 70. I wouldn't advise that because, again, things change so quickly around every curve, around every hill, every bend. Things can change just that fast. And yesterday, too, is a good example. I shouldn't say good example. It is an example of how life can change and sometimes permanently. So, again, take care of your loved ones before you take off for the day. Talk to each other. Think about the roads, because driving is such a huge responsibility, and sometimes it's one of those things that we perhaps take for granted, that we get in a vehicle and we just go because it's so easy. You turn on the key and you just start moving. But again, you forget that most vehicles weigh an average of about 4,000 pounds. That's a piece of metal. Putting at 55 miles on the road, you're covering 80 feet per second. Bad things can happen, and you just need to slow down and drive accordingly. So again, parents, families, friends, take care of your loved ones, talk about it. Remember that driving is a huge responsibility and we must be responsible at all times. So at this point, I guess I'm going to just kind of recap also what the State Patrol responded to with the activity. Most of you probably got my media reports and the releases on the number of crashes. The State Patrol did respond to approximately 200 crashes yesterday and throughout the evening and even into the morning hours. Troopers are still responding to several crashes and rollovers throughout the Minnesota. One in particular that's been tying us up a good part of the morning since just after 7:30 was on I-94, exit 61, which is just east of Fergus Falls. It's commonly referred to as the Big Chief exit. Semi tipped over there trying to get onto the interstate. It was an oversized load. As it was making the turn, the rear part of the oversized trailer caught the ditch and then caused the rest of the truck and trailer to overturn. No injuries in that case, but again, it's just blocking the on-ramp at this time. And again, not only 200 crashes, but another 200 plus vehicles that slid off the highways. Even though we didn't have a lot of snow, some of those, a good majority of those, still required tow assistance to get out of the ditch and tied up a lot of resources and things like that. But again, this is one of the things we respond to. About 44 of those crashes yesterday were injury crashes. About 12 of the 200 crashes, about 12 of those were rollovers, so not a significant number of rollovers, but obviously still, I'm going to say any rollovers, too many. But again, so in that sense, it shows that at least we weren't getting the speeds to roll over. However, a lot of people were still hitting a lot of fixed objects and other vehicles, two-car type crashes. But again, fortunately, a lot of those injuries did not result in a lot of serious injuries. However, we did have the two fatal crashes, both of those being in that central Minnesota area. The one where the 4 young ladies were killed on I-94 near Alexandria, and another person was killed on Highway 28 just a couple of miles west of Glenwood. That party lost control, spun out in front of a semi, and was struck and killed at the scene.
Have you been able to determine if the ladies' vehicles, did they turn or something? I heard they got hit on the driver's side, and if they're westbound, they must have spun or anything?
Correct. It's my understanding that when they lost control and went through the median, that the vehicle was spinning out of control, and the vehicle then did present itself broadside on the driver's side in particular, and that is where the initial impact took place when the SUV did strike their vehicle. At this time, we have no estimates. Again, that's something that the State Patrol will be looking into. It's a very standard procedure for us during our crash reconstruction to try to determine what happened exactly, and that generally includes speeds if we're able to determine that. And that's through a variety of things, some through the electronics of the vehicle and things like that we can perhaps get the information from the computer, but also with our reconstruction that involves a detailed forensic mapping of the crash scene that's indicated by evidence left there, such as tire marks, skids, and things of that nature.
Any information yet, Jesse, on whether cruise control was on, whether the occupants were belted in?
It is unknown at this point if the cruise control was being used. However, all 4 parties did have their seatbelts on in that crash. That we do know. And again, as I said, the initial impact was taken on the driver's side of the vehicle of that, and it was a full-on broadside type impact.